Actually cheaper. American passport. Okay, it's about time.
Yes, we're about going live. Love music, love life. You're welcome to Freshly Pressed on Smooth 98.1. It's a feel good Friday, but I cannot guarantee that the stories today will make you feel good. Still, grab in and get ready to go on this ride with us this morning on Freshly Pressed. My name is Oluwaseun. As always, we have in-depth analysis on what's happening in Nigeria, taking it from the Nigerian newspapers and talking about the details as well as giving you the facts. And to do that this morning, because it's a Friday, so we have the duo of Mr. Joseph Obari. Good morning.
Good morning, Oluwaseun. Good to see you again. And listeners, it's always beautiful to be with you. Ibi, good morning.
And
Good,
welcoming architect AV Bozimo. Good morning.
good morning, Oluwaseun. Good morning, Sir Joseph, and good morning to all of the wonderful listeners. Now here we day, we cannot get out.
Now, let's get started with this one coming from Vanguard. But before then, you can be a part of the show in two ways. One, you can send your messages to us on WhatsApp 0911 999 0981 0911 999 0981. Quickly join us on YouTube where we're streaming live at Smooth 981 FM Lagos. At Smooth 981 FM Lagos. From the Vanguard, news that has had Nigerians reeling since it was released yesterday. The Nigerian Immigration Service has announced an upward review of fees for the Nigerian Standard Passport, with the new rate set to take effect from 1st of September 2025. Mr. Abi.
That gives us approximately 7 more working hours in which to apply for our passports at the old rate, because this will happen from the beginning of next week. Frankly, I want to first of all say that if there are any bright lights to be said in the current administration, the Interior Ministry has been one of those. The process of getting new passports has been very, very much overhauled. It has been much smoother, much more certain. I would argue less touting. And so there is kudos there. However, this increase in price is hitting Nigerians very, very hard, very suddenly. Of course, with this, announcing it a day before a weekend, they know what they're doing because a lot of people will try and rush, and I can guarantee that the website will crash because there'll be an unprecedented rush. At the end of the day, also on a lighter note, you could say the jackpot steps have been made that little bit harder because it costs a bit more. All that said, there is a fee to be charged for getting such devices, a passport and all that. And Nigeria, in its wisdom, has decided to set these as the new prices, 200,000 for 10 years, an average of 20,000 a year. If you look at it that way, amortizing it over the time, it may not seem quite as bad, considering how the currency has, dropped against other currencies. But it is still a whopper. 200,000 to get a new passport for 10-year validity is a bit of a whopper in terms of cost. People will have to recalibrate, have to gather a bit more money. But if you have cause to get one, undoubtedly, this will just be one more hurdle to overcome. You're already prepared with your 100,000 before. So now you have to double it. You will still get your passport. This is not in doubt. I just feel they say that they're saying they're adjusting it so that they can sustain the quality and integrity of the Nigerian passport while delivering efficient service delivery. Well assuring, I'll argue that yes, their service delivery has improved. This is not in doubt, but people would argue, so what? Isn't this supposed to be something that the government does? We seem to be able to subsidize literally every other thing, especially the lives of the rich and famous, also known as Nigerian government class. So why can't ordinary people get this for a better fee? I think if you're prepared to get a passport, you will still go ahead and get it, just that you have to pay more. This is what it is. At this moment, I don't see anything challenging that. Compared to some other countries' passports, you might say ours are certainly steeper. I know the US passport costs about $160 for 10-year validity. So ours is about $240 by comparison. It's not easy, but we'll go ahead and do it.
Do you have anything to add to that, Mr. Joseph?
Well, for me, I think the most important thing we should do is ensure that the quality should be what it is. I was a bit disappointed in 2023 when I had to renew my passport. And what I got was neither a color nor black and white. It's something in between. It's just, yeah, it's not you look at the picture, it's not really very sharp. The image isn't sharp. Color is not definite. Is like I say, it's neither black or white nor color. It's something in between, looking like almost light yellow. So we shouldn't have passports that is that quality. Yeah, the text, everything is okay. The paperwork is solid and so on. But how come we couldn't get that fine clarity in quality of the photographs and all that? Yeah, so that's something I think they should address and improve on.
Perhaps they did something a bit better more recently, because now the passport you get is pretty nice. It has almost like an ID card laminated page on your data page. So,
Oh,
I
really?
mean, I don't know.
Interesting.
Yeah. So the quality of the passport, actually, I did it maybe more recently than you. And
Oh,
it's
yeah, mine
quite,
was
it's,
2023.
yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's actually quite nice now.
Okay.
But yeah, you just, it's a choice. You don't have to get a passport unless you have cause to get it. And in that case, you will get a passport.
I'm tempted to add that, yes, we understand the rising cost of things and, everything has really skyrocketed. Yes, we're going to have to pay more now. We don't exactly have an option to get a passport. But importantly, we hope that the value that green passport holds actually goes up. And we don't have to face so much embarrassment and so much scrutiny and unnecessary discrimination as a result of bearing the green passport. So whatever they need to do for that thing to also increase in its value as we take it out, please, dear Nigerian government, do it. Thank you. We'll go to the next one,
Come
and that
down
is
from your
coming.
soapbox. Good points, all.
Punch saying that the Inspector General of Police, Kayode Egbetokun, has issued a global call for collaboration to combat the escalating security challenges posed by cattle rustling and emerging threats from chemical, biological, radiological, nuclear, and explosive materials across Africa. Mr. Joseph?
Well, a very potent threat that cattle rustling has turned into, because we know that most of the terror organizations operating in sub-Saharan Africa are resorting to cattle rustling as a means of funding their illicit activities. So what the IGP has said is very, very, very cogent, and there is need for collaboration. But you see, each nation, and even starting with Nigeria, has to also pay attention to its own security architecture in such a way that policing should go beyond this, very mundane approach to policing that we are adopting to technology-based security. Our borders, we need to pay attention to our borders. Our borders are porous. So if all nations, say in the West African sub-region, our neighbors, for example, we're all on one page on how to safeguard the integrity of our borders, then it becomes easier. But with these international corporations are not really as robust as they should be in the West African sub-region as a whole. So we find right now Niger, we are not really on talking terms. Chad, we don't know what the relationship is like. Cameroon, sometimes, yeah, we work with them. Benin Republic. So all of these things are pieces that are moving, and we need to be able to coordinate better. Internationally, I think Africa has never been left without support, by Western organizations and governments to support security in Africa. Because at the end of the day, you see the mass movement of migration of people moving from insecure area to another area is something that is becoming a global challenge. Immigration is a hot issue in the whole of Europe. In America, it's a hot issue. So countries are becoming more sensitive as to what is going on in other countries. And so the Inspector General's call is a cogent one, and it's one that should be taken seriously. But my advice is that internally, we also have to do our work. So we must pay attention to our security architecture. The way it is now, we see that we are not getting the best of results.
Indeed. Thank you very much. We move on to the next one, coming from the Punch still. The federal government has vowed to end the misuse of police and other security personnel by very important persons, insisting that elite protection should no longer come at the expense of national security. Mr. Rabi.
Interestingly, I ask myself, what makes a person very important? Ordinarily, have they added value to society? Have they just found their way through kicking and screaming to the top of the apparent totem pole? Because ordinarily, if you were very important and you added value to a system, you shouldn't need to be so protected from the system that you empowered. Clearly, they go around with these phalanges of security because they are afraid of the society in which they exist. We've seen the videos, we've seen the hot takes where prime ministers of certain countries that we like to jackpot to with their 200,000 naira passports are riding on bicycles in public. I understand that there will be security generally around. We're not saying that they're purely insecure, but they are not going around in bulletproof, blacked out, hardened vehicles with the irony of men who are protecting them running on foot beside them while they're inside AC. That is actually a level of abuse I've never been able to understand. You say, Hadiza Bala Usman is saying all this, I think very correctly, but she doesn't understand that she's treading on an area that some of them will not like, because for some of them, having all these policemen around them is part of what makes them, quote unquote, big men and women. So you're saying that they should actually use their already overpaid money to pay for private security. Hadiza, watch your back. A lot of people will not like that. But she's 100% correct. If you feel so insecure in the country where you are supposedly an elite member, then two things exist. One, you should work at making that country less insecure by dint of your position. Or since you are the top, earning among the top, you should pay private security. So there are lots of retired policemen and army people who can, in a properly regulated environment, help create an infrastructure of private security that people who feel the need for it should pay for, thus freeing up the police and mobile policemen that are currently deployed in their 5s and 10s to people that I have not yet seen the value of in terms of their VIP status. But even that too will be very hurtful to some of these police, because some of them like those deployments because at least around them they are near Oga, and so they tend to get a tip here and there. She's, as I say, breaking a certain table or cracking a few of the legs, and not a few people will be happy with her. But her point, I think, is very well made. The limited police we have are supposed to be deployed serving the overall population. She said to her dismay, she saw anti-terrorism people deployed to somewhere in Ikoyi when there is terrorism going on in Nigeria. And so she reported it to the National Security Advisor. She didn't say if the National Security Advisor did anything about it. That was missing from the story. So I suspect that the man saw it and said, Hadiza, you too do. This is part of your big boy and big girl life. Don't shake this table. I wasn't there, but I think that may have been the communication. The point made is very right. Put the police where the police should be so that we feel them, we appreciate them, and we have a better relationship with them. Let them not just be pointing guns at us in the back of Hiluxes because we happen to be breathing near a quote-unquote VIP. Again, what makes those people who add such little value and who, I argue, are Nigeria's only natural disaster very important in our society?
Thank you. Mr. Joseph, would you like to add to that, or we move on to the next
Yeah, for
story?
me, I think two exciting things here. I like the sound bite of this story, what is being said by Adiza and the minister, also in the same Minister of Interior, who was talking about passport changes and all that. Is that there are two laws that they think are obsolete and need to be changed. That's the Private Gas Act that came as far back as 1986, and then also the Federal Fire Service Act, which they think need to be changed because they are not really serving the purposes today. To be able to create what they are trying to do with fire services, that okay, say private organizations can now provide fire services. So yeah, so if you can afford it, you whether instead of waiting for government to go for fire service when you have incident, private people can offer that service to you, and more efficiently too. So that way, I hope that the law takes care of everything, like provision of hydrants and all those kind of things in strategic places and all that, or making provision of hydrant even compulsory in construction, like in estates and all those kind of places, so that when people need fire service, they are not looking for scratching their heads where to get water. And maybe certain very important aspects of this essential duty, like even citizen awareness and all that, should be incorporated into the law. So repealing the old laws and reworking them I think should be a lot of input from stakeholders.
Every child above 3 years old in the US is taught to stop, drop, and roll in case they ever find themselves on fire. And other children are encouraged to put some form of blanket over them to put off the fire. So the education of people about how to act in terms of emergency is there. But I'm curious, it's not bad to have private fire service. In fact, in many instances where disasters have happened, people have gone first to Julius Berger, and I'll call their name because they are the people who have saved lives. But if the government is now trying to remove that responsibility from themselves, which I feel state and local government should be part of, what are they doing with the rest of the money? Buying more jeeps for themselves? Listen, I'm all for private supply of anything, but there are supposed to be some things that the government is also responsible for, side by side. I just see a lot of shelving responsibility, and at the end, you put in private hands. Obviously, the people doing it for profit. What are you doing with the money that the revenue you are getting? If you say you are not going to provide fire service, you are not going to provide this, what are you doing with the money? And why should a private person now be, because a private person will charge you. That's why they're in business, to get profit. So now, do we have a business in arson so that I can deploy my fire service and get your? I don't get it. I'm okay if you supplement it, but government should not get out of it. That's my thinking.
I mean, I think there is nothing that they have not suggested that government will abandon this for private. They are saying
watch
in
and see.
addition.
Once they are private people, they will now say it exists, and that's what I'm saying. Look, they can add, but do your own first. Let government do its own.
Well, for context, in case someone is wondering what's going on, that's a story from Vanguard about the federal government unveiling sweeping reforms in the Ministry of Interior, including plans to arm select private security companies, license private firefighting firms, and ensure Nigerians receive international passport within 1 week. So those are part of the things being discussed. Again, you can chip in your thoughts and let us know what you think about these stories that we have discussed so far. The WhatsApp line is 0911 999 0981. Mr. Ajayi Olaniluwa says, good morning. The gale of increase in the price of government services like electricity, motor vehicle registration, and now the cost of international passport is as a result of the policy of subsidy removal and floating of the naira in the foreign exchange markets. Although government continues to defend these policies, they are compelled to effect these price increases while the masses continue to bear the resultant effect of galloping inflation. God help us. Rexy from Surulere says, Nigerians like first world product for third world prices. We should be able to pay to demand top-notch service with no excuses. All right, we move on to the next story, and this
Please,
time,
one word. Please, one word. If we got first world governance, we would be able to afford first world payments. We have 70th world governance, and we are merely asking for third world prices.
wow. Well, we go to this one from The Nation, and it's the Nigerian police force arresting 8 suspects for allegedly creating 14 fake websites of the National Identity Management Commission. Mr. Rabi.
You know, first of all, kudos to the government. In this world of digitalized services, in less than a microsecond, your entire digital security can be compromised. And not a few of us have seen something where you made a mistaken press on your phone and suddenly things start popping up and you can't get access to this and that, and you're locked out and people are doing bad things. Apparently, some people have been setting up fake websites, looking, I'm sure, very authentic, where people have entered in their what should be very private personal information. Your NIN and co are very, very private items that should not be available openly. But they have set up these websites, and people have gone there and put in this information. And what's more, they have now got that information out on what some people could call the dark web, i.e., illegal and illicit communities online where this information is traded. So the government, using digital forensic techniques, track down these people who are behind the sites. They have apprehended them for prosecution and they've shut down those websites. So I must say, utter kudos, because this is in line with the highest standard of digital information security that should exist. You shouldn't have people. But back to what Joseph said earlier, part of this should be awareness. Let people know that first of all, publicize the only authorized website all the time, and let people know that any website outside of those official government ones should not be accessed. And then make sure you do everything digitally possible to protect the official government assets, because those are government assets. When you go to the government sites, you interact with your NIN and co. Those are things that should only be done by authorized people at the other end should see it. I mean, think about it right now. When you go to your bank in general, apart from overt fraud, you don't find your bank account or any other information flying around. So the security systems exist. Let's adopt them at the government level again, and also publicize. This story, for instance, publicizes some of those bad websites. So it's a worthwhile effort for anybody listening to go and look at those websites. Please check that you have never used them, and help everybody know to stay away from them. So kudos to the government for clamping down on illegality, bad behavior, or as they say, bad character.
Thank you. We'll take this message before we take the final one from The Punch. Oluwaseun says, I'd love to see her take the police guards from those VIPs. The same policemen whom several IGPs have promised to take away without following it up. The rot is so much, and the money paid by those VIPs travel far within the police hierarchy. It's not even really about the Nigerian police force. It's about the Nigerian state and our so-called VIPs and wealthy who wouldn't feel important and secure in the midst of the squalor they have contributed in creating. How else will those VIPs intimidate fellow Nigerians? They will never let them go, not without a fight.
Phenomenal observations.
And on a final note, this is coming from The Punch. The Ebonyi state government has announced an increase in the minimum wage of state civil servants from 70,000 to 90,000 naira. Mr. Joseph.
Yeah, Governor Wifru is one governor that I'm paying close attention to, and some of the utterances and decisions, policies he's come up with are very exciting, very interesting, and I hope that the government really stays true to these promises. Not only are they saying that they are going to make the minimum wage 90,000 and across board, means they're also saying that they have made sure that pensioners, retirees are paid from the inception, the creation of the state to now, that they have to take care of that. And they are doing verification at the local government level to be able to take care of that too. This is what
Yesterday,
governance should be.
oh, please go on.
Yeah, this is what governance should be. People, leaders paying attention to the well-being of their people, the welfare of their people. And civil servants have always been mistreated in this country by successive governments, leaders who just don't care, who pamper themselves, but think that their workers should be abandoned. In some of the cases, you go to government offices and you're embarrassed. You can't even sit down. You wouldn't even provide such furniture for your domestic helps. Not to talk about government offices where directors are working and so on and so forth. So some of these decisions are very very exciting. They also decided that they were going to do something about directors who have been stagnant and cannot continue to rise. So in those cases, those people are going to be retired, which is unfortunate, but you don't create a system whereby people cannot rise, people cannot grow. It shouldn't happen. It shouldn't, in personnel management and in human resources management, you should have headrooms for people. Of course, not everybody is going to become the permanent secretary one day, growing from the system, but there should be a system whereby you know that as progression happens, attrition and all that, people who are aging and going are going, and they are creating openings for people to rise up. So when you create a system where too many people are rising at the same time and there is no headroom for them, it means something is wrong. Is that people are not leaving the system, or you have overemployed people and you have many people than you really need. So these are the things they need to pay attention to. But very beautiful, very exciting proposition from the Ebonyi State government.
I was going to say that yesterday. Please go on.
You know, I've always asked, what are the governors doing with this extra money that they are getting now in this current administration? And at least, arguably, some of the governors are doing something about the official minimum wage. When we say minimum wage, don't forget, that is now going to be for the lowest paid workers. So as you do the minimum wage, it increases everybody's wage above. And so the wage bill becomes larger. But indeed, they have much more fun. So it's good to see that in some instances, at least, some governors feel that the workers within their system ought to get something more. Kudos.
I wonder what it will take for other governors to catch this bug, because I believe this is the second. Yesterday, we talked about Imo State Governor Ohopu Uzodimma increasing to 104,000 naira. And now we have Ebonyi State increasing it to 90,000. So what needs to happen for the other governors to hop on this trend, since, well, there have been other trends that they hopped on? We just need to have more of that, because Nigerians really could use some increase. We have increase in passport fees here and there, so we could use it, please. All right, we take to the final round of messages.
Home, right?
Yeah. Yes. Emeka from Ikeja says, government catching website criminals is fantastic, but why can't they find sponsors and financiers of Boko Haram and terrorists? Joseph Maynier from Silver Estate says, the bitter truth is that the damage this administration, politicians, and elites is causing the economy and country, it will only take a miracle. How on earth do you pay lifetime salaries to senior officers? RMFAC have increased politicians and continuously increase of all goods and services at the detriment of the ordinary citizens, while few enjoy democracy. May God help us. Tayo from Maja says, in view of revised passport under 1 year, everything is going up except our national wages. Police and escort services is one of the ways of maintaining the force. I call this initial gragra because those posted would change their uniform into suits and continue to work. Please stay vigilant with your personal information. Phishing is on the rise. Kudos to the police on the recent crackdown of illicit operations. And with that, we've come to the end of today's Freshly Pressed, the final of the Freshly Pressed for this week, I believe, or this month, I believe.
Yeah.
So we hope that September, alongside the increase of the passport fees, brings us good and better news and other things that we're going to rejoice about.
I say amen to that.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Let's make this a September to remember. There are so many beautiful songs with September in the name worth singing about. Earth, Wind and Fire, Barry White. Those should be something you play later on today. Have a wonderful week, everybody. A great weekend ahead. Let's hit September and the last third of the year with all the enthusiasm we can muster.
Thank you very much. And thank you, Mr. Joseph. Please go on.
My pleasure. I just want to say thank you, Oluwaseun. It's always beautiful being here with you guys. And listeners, you make this a bomb. Let's have a wonderful weekend.
Thank you. And we continue with the show Smooth Breakfast because 15 minutes past 8 o'clock, it will be the locker room on Smooth 90.1. My name is Oluwaseun Olusegun.
The headlines. The story.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And I'm done for now.
I love how you pronounce your name.